Okay, I think this is nice too to share. So once you can perceive the eschatological and ontological frames that people use to create, relate, and fulfill symbols with different meaning. Symbols can be anything, an object, a scenario, a circumstance, a package of information, etc. So once you do this, you can easily find out the patterns get created by the recursive repetition of this type of readings. When you can see this recursive repetition, that are the patterns, you can see the spaces they leave behind of what reality is by itself. There is no eschatological or ontological framework that can describe the entire reality. That's the point. That is something that even science itself, that is an epistemological pathway of understanding, proves. And that's why also epistemology transcends eschatology and ontology. You have noticed there is a pattern that is very common. People do not relate themselves anymore because they are humans. They relate themselves because the other fulfills, encourage, or ritual element. The eschatological and ontological framework they use to validate themselves and give a meaning to their lives according to the social scenario they live in front of. They will not be in a mass of people always present, interacting. They will not need, most people will not need to do this of transposing all their human values and valuations to a eschatological and ontological framework. That will not be necessary. It's like once you can see a pattern or a pathway, you don't need to think anymore which is the pathway. Mind ceases, mind stops. Meanwhile, you abide in ignorance, mind keeps going. Mind is not your whole entity or your being. Mind is just a tool you use, like a heart. You could say like that, a part or organic systemic part of your whole body. The interesting part of mind is that something is like a heart or like a stomach that rise up and cease. So imagine that suddenly you don't need the heart and the heart disappears and you keep living. And suddenly you need the heart again and the heart grows again and appears and start bumping, doing the work and again. That is the difference with mind as an organ, you could say, or as a holographic repercussion, holographic consequence of the whole nerve system of the different organs, because there is the brain is not the only one that has a neural system. Their communication, their symbolical communication, and the structural functions of all the systems into which you exist as a human being, as an organic individual. So mine is this song that appears every time these symbolic readings between organs communicate each other, and they have a need, or they have a requirement, they have a learning evolution process to do, and that manifests in you, because you can call you, me, I, as the mind. I am noticing more people is getting aware a little bit, not in its fundament, but in its symptomatic structure of what provokes to lead your life through eschatological or ontological frameworks, and the difference that it comes with leading your life through seeing authentic, proven matter pathways of realization, because at the end everything has to do with realization. I am thirsty, I think, wow, I have a sickness, I look for the medicine or the recursive pathway that my body organically needs to be living, like a plant to grow, to raise the sickness, etc., etc., etc. Everything is about realization. In that sense, in the Oriental tradition, that's why the story of Siddhartha is very important because pathway of life have been framed in many different ways. But in the Oriental tradition, they do it in a very pragmatical style, with a very pragmatical style. What is evident, like Descartes says, truth is very evident, it's axiomatic, it has no way to be refuted. All this duality of truth, false, good, bad comes from the socialization and politicization of human life duties or tasks that people call yoga. So I see one post when a person is explaining what is important, what is not important according to these matters. So I wrote this because pretty much all this makes how you could call it. Yes, it is a conceptual framework. It is not a narrative, because a narrative is only a story, not necessarily something that can be proven. It's just a representation or projection of the mind into the self-existence to give itself a meaning. So this is not just that, this is taking axioms, proven facts, according to the relation exists between your human individual and society into the narrative they use to preserve and conserve themselves and their historic heritage. These two different worlds, it's not the same world. One is the organic, life, human, nature, matter, structure, pyramid, evolutionary entity, and another is the measurements that people take and how they relate within each other to establish a conservative technique or method to anything they have developed or any story they have created. It gets sustained and gets, again, this word, retroalimentated, renourished, keep alive. That is not really functional. Actually, it's just self-destructive behavior being manifested through apprehension and attachment. It's not necessary to create technology to do these things, but people need to feel they are doing something. They need to frame themselves into doing something to accept it, right? So in that fundament, I wrote this to the person in Instagram. The comment is on Instagram. But at the end, is really a whole conceptual framework through you can read yourself. That is very important. That's why I upload this content. I just keep the conceptual frameworks of concepts rooted to matter behavior that is axiomatic, that is proved by itself. It is evident, it's always functional, it always occurs, and so on. So you can read yourself, because if you take artificial concept or artificial ontological or eschatological frameworks, you cannot read yourself. You can just speculate in how you will act accordingly and how others will do, and in a double thought mind, like in a threshold of your own perception, to expect that what you need as a human being occurs. That is already a waste of time and energy. But that's how these societies into which we live right now operate and work. Also, this delay is part of its functioning. If there will not be this delay, the society we know right now will not exist. People will not relate like they are relating right now. Neither they will suffer the consequences of relating like that through time, like we all can see. That's how occur repetitive over time, but it's okay. It's like to see a mass of ants hitting themselves and eating themselves and burning themselves, and fine. No problem. It's like, okay, see, yes, I have a face, I have eyes, I have a nose, I have ears and everything, but we're not the same. we're equal in that sense, but we are not the same. There is different mind states of evolution and even organic states of evolution. We all deserve respect and equality, etc. But we are not the same in that sense. I cannot say if I'm a baby, I cannot say I have the same value as an old guy. An old guy cannot say I am the same as a young person. That's something that people, mostly social constructed persons, these bots that just read reality mechanically, using the same symbols, using the same meanings for the same symbols. Like if it will be a structure of a wall of stone, instead a living organic individual that adapts symbols and values and meanings according to the circumstances. That what is in nature. Also, that is something that deteriorates the nerve system and make you, how you could say, get old age before you really are old age in that sense, for the capacity you have to perceive. Okay, so I wrote this. It's called Toward the New Movement. Monetary ecology. It says, do not seek to accumulate or use unnecessary monetary mass. A three-party relationship exists between biological capital, free time, and monetary mass. Under the current civilizational program, only two of these three are possible at once. The key is to choose the most valuable ones based on your current situation and the season of life you're experiencing. Yesterday, I met two adults traveling through Europe. They were happy. Okay, continue. Yesterday, I met two adults traveling through Europe. They were happy because after many years, they could finally enjoy total free time. In conversation, they wanted to make it clear to me that they no longer work and are retired. Perhaps seeing my age, thinking I was in the opposite situation. Again, like symbolical recursion reading, artificial. I'm old, you're young, we live in this construct. I suppose everybody lives the same and will do the same because there is no other option. That's how this type of people thinks. It's not bad, it's just a phenomenon. So perhaps in my age, thinking I was in the opposite situation. I did not explain anything. I don't. It's like if you are eating a hamburger or sausage or whatever you want, a cornetto, milk, anything. I will not tell you the physical, ontological reality, homeopathic consequences of your actions. That's not the point. Unless if already you are set up in this acceptance of the reality you are living in and what you find worthy to live for. So I did not explain anything about this because it's not, also in these circumstances, this type of people, if you try to show, like it happened to me in X platform, you can see the conversation with a person. When you try to tell them that what they are using to conversate or relate is not really authentically useful, they feel decredit, like taken out of their value or taken out of the meaning of the experiences they have had to be and become what they have become. So they can react also like in a competitive, conflictive way. So it's like better not to explain unless the context or is being created. Usually when people want to show this, like the victory of their lives, can be sex, can be eating a hamburger, can be telling everybody the story that they are retired and now they have enough money to just, as what the guy said, no? The guy understood. I'm very empathic with these people because at the end we are the same. It's not like we are different. We just have taken different economical pathways, we could call it. like any other person. Like is the same the person cleaning a dish as cleaning a toilet or making fitness in a gymnasium. The action is action. The narrative is what creates the supposedly separation between actions, but it does not exist unless the action really is separated by its own ontological, symbolic, recursive meaning expressed by nature, like it is conservation, destruction, and creation. That those are the only differences between actions that actually exist beyond narratives. Okay, but so I could say, yeah, so we can talk about this, or you can talk about the economy, social engineering, war, politics, philosophy, physics, extraterrestrial entities, or this. That is a pure analysis of the human behavioral actions and conducts. Like literally just describing mechanically in the, like with a resembles to physics, how humans, as you could say it in an informational theory way, this package of information interact within themselves and the reality, the holographic reality, like according to quantum mechanics language, they are creating by doing so. So that is better because it's not political, it's not economical, it's not moral, it's not ethical, it's just pure what is existing in that moment and what is getting represented. At the end, does not matter what is getting represented, does not matter the consequence of that representation, but it matters the core, the asymmetrical core between the dimensions of you being a human being and you being a social being and a civilizatory being, and what that expresses. That explains everything. That explains wealth or not wealth. That explains wars or not war. That explains any political tendency you can fucking invent in your mind and fantasize with as a way to get capital. So better to talk about these things. Yes, so with these people I could say, yes, me too, I am also retired. How is that? No? So because by following the economical principle I am describing, I have always retained the personal and free management of my time. This is equivalent to and even transcends the social product of retirement, because you simultaneously preserve your biological health and your agency over it. That is the most precious thing that can exist in everything. No. From the Vedas and before the Vedas and after the Vedas and post the Vedas. Even your body will be like, what the fuck with yourself if you're leaving yourself security, because security is something biological. Really, the cells talk with each other and they make their conversations like people in a society when they are feeling threat, literally, I say literally. So you will be in a constant struggle and stress, not even caused by your own narrative, caused because the cells are telling to you what you are giving the control of me to another person that doesn't care about it. They do that. You can research how the homeopaths is the people that are professionalized into the study of this matter, and they create this concept, or they also participate in the creation of the concept of transgenerational health. But it's root-based in the conversation of the cells and the symbolical representations they give one to another to create the human organic system and make it work. So when you adopt the seasons in which you successfully manage your own time, doing this method, with this three polarity multi-choice circumstance, if you choose about your health, or you choose about accumulating money, or you choose just to spend time. Free is, it should not be said free time, but it's more like it is explained here, the agency about time. Also, that is something you need for your health. There is no animal that can live healthy in its mind, in the conversation with itself, if it has never the agency of its own time. It's something very self-destructive, that something else, an organism aside you, is always having the agency of your time, even beyond your own affirmation of it. Okay, if you choose it, it's like baptism. Okay, I am 32 years old. I read the whole story of the Bible. I make my own eschatological and ontological frameworks. I create epistemology about it, and I am a Christian. I surrender to the sea and the society that takes me in the sea, and I'm not afraid that they want to kill me, because that's what the Christian right is for. I show you the evil, me killing a goat and looking like the evil, and then giving you a piece of meat, so you have bread and oil, and then I take you to the sea, and I see if you trust in me or not by taking you in the sea and rowing down in the water as an act, because in that sense you don't do it by yourself. You are out of your self-control, like the goat is out of its self-control when it's going to be killed. So, but if you accept me, then I like you. If you resist and I feel it, now I can read you. That's what this you can say it like that. The Christians are some type of psychoanalyst person. The real Christians, also, like the theological Christians, not the Christian that just wants to be in a church singing Christ and you, I did the right thing, I am a good person, and all those things. So the point is that when you manage your time in this way, at the end, when you are 30, now I'm 32, I started when I was like 17, 18 years old. Before, it doesn't matter, because really before you are just building even just your body in the house when you born, if you were lucky to do so in any economical dimension you can think, but that you never miss something to eat or something to dress, right? But it's good that in those times you're already being able to perceive this, because even in that situation you can manage better your relation and interaction with the other people, and also to make of your time the best use of it, not dreaming or fantasizing with any social narrative that you're being presented on TV or a political program that some idiot is talking on on a screen or in a prompt in a social event or whatever. But it's already very boring to this time, contemporary time. It's like, so you are not in the age of the kings. I mean, in the sense that mediatically before, really people were carrying this task of being the screen through you others will hear about politics and economical movements of domain participation in a region or whatever. Like, okay, there is no cameras, there is no TV, there is no videos, there is no data centers. You want to be that, statue, that Iron Maiden that will talk and say what it thinks, and so other people hear. Okay, no, it's not necessary, but sure, you have your intentions. But right now, where that have happened 1,000 years, is so repetitive and predictable, because it exists and abides within the same structures. That is, just by looking a little bit the past, you already know the whole future, because it exists the same actions into the same frame structure. So there is some people saying that they can see the future, and because I predict that Trump and I predict that Putin. Sure, there is a bakery, and 1 year ago a person bought bread, and I predict people will buy bread in the future. See, these people just take advantage that you, if you are in a state, all these people is just for the people that is in stress, negation of reality, confrontation with reality, can make you delusional, can make you really believe in narratives that are just aiming and pointing into delusional languages. You could fantasize language. Some people use them consciously, but most of them, they just want to stock your mind with information that you can never prove. That is also a technique, that is a tactic. If there is 3 outcomes and I fulfill the 3 outcomes possibilities constantly, you will never know which possibility will come the last outcome that I want to express at the end. So you can never take a position that frees you from the outcome unless you understand the whole construct and you step away from the construct. But all this is social engineering and control, and instead the big daddy, the grandfather can make a system that just has the 3 of 3. You can have your biology capital preserved. I mean, according to capacities and studies of your own body. That is what yoga is for. That's why measure the mastery of yoga of a person. Oh, you're 100 years old and you look like 30 years old. Okay. Oh, Nama Guru, what the fuck, no? Okay, you are 50 years old and you look like 200. Ah, no, you're a demon. You stress your body, you kill yourself, you self-destruct yourself. You are not a yogi, you are not a guru. You are not a teacher. You're an idiot that just there doing nothing. An addict to life, not a living organism. So, okay, do this, do 3 of 3. You can have monetary mass without risking your biology capital and without giving the concession of the management of your time to any other that you decided by yourself, because that is also a psychological practice of maturity, that you can make the decisions. If not, you just create a society full of infant people suppressed and repressed by the superego, like Freud called it. That is the reality, that is the truth, that is what happens, that is what physically is happening. Doesn't matter what you think or what you dream about or what is your intentions or mercadology strategies. That is all bullshit. That is really like wanting to rule the world with a Tetris. So if you see the whole chart of possibilities that matter gives you in all its dimensions, from the vibration of a string in space to the creation of mass structures like a black hole, trying to conduct the world through a mercadology or a political narrative is like having a supercomputer and just using the arrangement where the computer expresses information in 8 bits. It can do thousands of trillions of bits? No, 8 bits. Okay, 8 bits world, like the video game, like Pokemon. No, you want to play Pokemon? Okay, that's all you can do. Okay, perfect. So yes, at the end you end up, I could even count it, 30 years, 40 years old, having already utilized more free time than any other person in the world. So when I was in university, I was like 19 years old. I measured it, okay, how much time really, according to this, work, having money, free time, shit, I am getting from doing this thing, this pattern, this culture, social culture, this economical participation in this civilization, no? Because at the end, that's what you're doing. That's the only thing you're doing. Upon that, there is no judgment. There is no law that tells you that study is illegal or not working in a laboral market is illegal. Nothing is just mind control in that sense, by the same part of conservation need of people to create a story of themselves and the heritage. They are traumatized with this thing of this is my land, this is my heritage, this is my people. You don't even know them. You don't even understand their mind. You don't even know if they really think as you think, etc. But it's false flags, false psychological flags to create a scenario where the I represents itself and people observe it and decide to give or take something from, and from there to create interaction where there is a competition where at the end nobody takes or gives, but it's just waiting for the other to fall to then take everything they can away. That's pretty much what it happens when it's not human, the interaction. Pero ¿qué te estás comiendo, no? What you are eating? I was like Italian. Okay, so how many years have been from this? A lot, really a lot. So you read the story of the Vedas, and that supposedly are dated before every story in the world, that is at least 6,000 years, 7,000 years, 10,000 years. That's the point. How always exists, because humans have always been the same, how always have nose, brain, and shit, and that can always create holographically the same repercussions. It will be the pathway of awareness and consciousness, experience, awareness and consciousness. That is where your identity lies upon. That is the satiety, as Federico Fagin called it in his book Irreducible. And the other side, no, I relate myself on the ontological, eschatological, historical syncretism concepts that everybody use, like Christianism or any other religion, even is not in that sense defined as a religion, but works and operates in the same way. That is mechanically conditioning your mind. So when you see a scenario, any symbol, fundamentally, you react and create the same information. That going against what life is, even what a cell can do. A cell does not that. A cell operates in even the opposite way of awareness, depending the circumstances, the environment, the ecosystem, the elements it needs to process, the activity of the body. It creates different types of information according to each of these arrangements. There is some permutations, some permutation. I think it's permutation in English. So you have A, B, C, D, E, F elements, and you can arrange them in different ways. That is a permutation. There is some that create similar, homologous, identical information, but others really they make completely different information, one from the other. Okay, so what it says here, pretty much what is the monetary ecology. So I already explained. What is how it will look. It's not what it is, but it's how it will look for the others that don't think about this or are not interested, or they just want to be accepted by others to live the life of others or be the replacement for the others because it's their heritage, because it's their love of their life, or because they think it's their responsibility, because they believe to their parents, whatever. How it will look. Do not follow traditional schooling, study alone, as it is more effective. Not even a political confrontation with it, okay? You want to spend your time hearing a person or being a bunch of people sitting down hearing a person somewhere. that is what makes you feel alive and useful. Pero in the matter of studying, better go to a church to do that than to a school. Because in the matter of study, that is like practicing a weightlifting, your body will not evolve according to your skills. If you lift weights according to what the other is talking to you or telling you. Neither you will develop consciousness of what it means to do weightlifting, in that sense studying, if you never learn how to learn, the body does that for you. So you like to be in the middle of many people and hearing what a conversation, better go to a book reading group go to a church, literally Christian, Muslim, doesn't matter. Everybody has a book, everybody reads something, and there is a lot of people hearing, and that's what they want. Not to school, to study. I mean, if your school is your church, the neo church, the woke church. It's nice to notice these patterns, right? Because there is where these political confrontations occur. No, what is a school? As academy to perform myself and evolve, or just a fucking living room to be chatting and creating social conventions, narratives to direct society. That is where pure capitalism and socialism split away definitively forever, and they will never be agreeing in anything, naturally. Of course, capitalism is the most effective in that sense, economically speaking, and also in an equivalent, or how you could say, equitative way of administrating wealth and economy. Not just through, you believe me, I let you in, and you don't believe me, I don't let you in. No, like Christianism. So do not follow traditional schooling, study alone, and as it is more effective, participate in rotating labor markets. That is the thing. Like, I mean, when there was not a lot of people, or the system in the sense of computation of information created by the same humans in every dimension of his existence, as I have mentioned, politically, psychologically, socially, economically. It's like, okay, I will make myself a license to read and process some information, and because of that, people will give me something. Will accept me in their park. Will not see me weird. Will not see me that I am not belonging to that place, etc. But they should never do that. That actually is a social security. That is Manichaeism. That is violence. But they learn to do that, to feel secure. Okay, like a children. Okay, you're a children. Okay, perfect. So in that circumstances, what was nice and was a good economical bet, because always is a bet. That is what financial system teach you about. Everything is a bet in that sense. So you need to make a good bet. You need to read the trajectory of economical development of different economical domains and the relation between themselves to really understand what you're doing when you are choosing something, anything. Coca-Cola over water, prostitutes over friendship, movie cinema over Netflix, or the opposite. Doesn't matter. It's not about giving you personal narrative. What you think about that morally or ethically, that has nothing to do with the reality. So the always equilibrated alternative to just perform yourself upon one task forever till you die in your life, and accepting yourself be part of an economical construct that requires you constant assistance to it, like a church, literally, like a farm, can say. It's not wrong, it's not bad, it has its pros and its cons. According to the economical development of the domains, even can be useless or can be very necessary. But in the middle, in the matter behavior will always show you the middle path of everything. There was always these rotating labor markets. Capitalism have always satisfied from this, and is the most efficient thing to do, and even again for the own sake of the individual. Yes, sure, you already do a big work respecting other humans, not being violent, following the scientific norms we all need to follow to prevent risk and prevent crimes and prevent confrontations and conflicts, and like a match, like a football match, or like any type of sports that has this type of same regulations to make fluid the aim, of the purpose, of the match or the competence, and not to be dysfunctional. So if you're already doing that, that is like a lot in that sense. If you find a season of work of 6 months or 1 year in one fabric or in one, everything is a fabric in that sense, no? It's small or big, but everything is a chain of process of matter and information, and you just participate in to be the lecturer of it and the operator. No matter if you are the CEO or the janitor or the guy in the line placing the bottles upwards, downwards, whatever you are fucking doing is the same. But that creates a lot of freedom, that creates a lot of, and even it creates economical expansion in that sense, that naturally will deconstruct social narratives that what they aim to preserve is not an evolutionary pathway of economical development, but their own identities within the society, according to their fears, their traumas, whatever. So also, but the sector have always existed. Nobody can against that, actually. So participate in rotating labor markets and learn to manage capital in financial valuation markets. That is a product of capitalism itself, because when there is a stock of economical matter and there is an asymmetrical relation between different economical domains, the only thing you can do, like in a machine, is to use different economical fuels. We could say like that, fuels. Imagine a car can move with more than one fuel at the same time, and program different requirements according what the whole machine is producing and constructing and their needs are for. That is the basis of the financial valuation system. Okay, now we need to burn more gold. We burn gold. Now we don't burn gold, we conserve gold. Now we burn Bitcoin. Okay, we burn Bitcoin, and so on. The socialist point of view is that they need to hold and preserve a market to make it entire geostrategical region that is not effective, that doesn't function like that. It's not even meditated to do so. But that is the pursuit of the egocentrical point of view of human, to want to be an influence for others and a father for others, a leader, a teacher, a teacher. Or any of these stupid human identifications, and fantasy identification that does not exist in nature. Imagine a wolf saying, wolf is the wolf, and the more strong wolf is the most strong wolf, and the less strong wolf is the less strong wolf, and that's all. The communication happened in the conscious awareness of wolf and all the organic system behaviors they have, and it looks like some wolves are following one particular one, or it looks like the most strong is watching and taking care of the less. No, that is your narrative. That is not biology study. That is your transpolation to the social construct you have been taken as truth, to a scenario where there is animals existing, like in Discovery Channel. Also, humans suffer a lot of these misinterpretations. That's the problem of the socialist direction of life. Doesn't work. Religion is the same call to the person scheme. And at the end, it aims really to just make is capitalism at the same, but capitalism is speculating with human lives and human experiences and human process of learning, when it's very obvious and scientifically proved that nobody needs that. Neither a wolf growing, neither a baby. They already have the whole program and computer of their own organic living entity connected to the ecosystem. They will learn through time through repetition, through what really creates awareness in your mind upon the reality you are existing. You don't need somebody telling you, pick the cup like this, not like this, not like this, not like this. When naturally, through time, you will do this and this and this, and you will choose whatever you fucking want. The dysfunctional order systems are aiming, like, they want to give themselves a value, because when you're born, they tell you do this, and you were doing the correct things from the beginning. False. That is false. As I can prove it just with a fucking cup. I also am not making an apology to capitalism in that sense. I'm making an explanation of what capitalism really means. And I say it, and I am a person that I don't have too much money, neither I use too much money to live, as I declare it here. I prefer to have my sight, my mind, my organic capital body, not just preserved and conserved, but in a constant evolutionary process. That's what makes you alive, in that sense. That's what can make you always have a clear vision of reality also. That is a direct relation with your mood state, your emotional, mechanical behavior, etc. So once exists these financial valuation markets, then you can get advantage. The money you have, you can read the machine, how it works. The real logic upon it works, not the logic you see in media and TV. That mostly of these are using socialist, vanguardist, propaganda to try to deconstruct the real meaning that the financial machine has, and the real use, the real functionality. It's physical proven functionality. That's what I mean, real. What is real? Don't make that. Make the question, but don't be an idiot. Prove it. Find the answer. Once you will know, obviously. Of course, people that tell you what is real, they are just trying to play with your mind. We all know what is real and what is not. What is a narrative and what is a physical fact. It's like the people when Bitcoin show up, they were saying, and what is Bitcoin? Sure. You that you're questioning, you don't know. But you're naming it. And you're targeting me to give you an answer. This is the most important, and that's how we start this monologue conversation, whatever you want to call it. It's not even a monologue at the end. Conversation is not an egoical, how you could say it. Like in the scenario of what people take as conversation is like somebody expressing an idea. Right? But that somebody is not always something that is being manifested itself into that scenario as somebody, right? Like any animal or like a bird singing in a forest, etc. Because also there is this trauma of competition between who speaks what or how is the information transmission modulated, and they create a whole scenario and narratives according that too. Again, to try to define in a deterministic and reductionistic way what is happening in that. I don't want to be redundant. What is happening in that happening, or in that phenomena, or in that expression, you could call it. That's what they always fail. Also, you can see people always fail to read reality because they base themselves upon these false frames to try to determine what is happening into or what is the meaning of an expression or a happening itself, a phenomenon. That's what I started in the videos of this series of videos is that people don't relate anymore because they're human, but because the narrative they follow. And according if you fit or not this narrative, according you support or not these emotional behaviors they create upon that narratives, and according if you can materially also provide so they can keep building this here sie heißen es here in Deutschland they call it castle of sand, like the pop culture music Nena is called. Gib mir die Hand und ich baue dir ein Schloss aus Sand, irgendwie, irgendwo, irgendwann. No? It's a very nice ontological explanation of human mind behavior placed in a pop cultural product like Coca-Cola, but the counter media of Coca-Cola, for example. So what makes possible this, and what have always made possible that exists this ecological monetary movement that allows you to have your biological capital preserved and the free management of your time. That you build human relationships that satisfy genuine human needs. Rather than a social cultural narrative that does not necessarily support human development, but merely serves as a tool for material preservation. So that is even the core of humanity itself. You appear there through me, or I appear there through you, and I will be your own self and you will be my own self for a quantity of time according to the human needs. Into the human needs, we are the same. I cannot private you from water if I'm drinking water. I cannot private you from food if I'm eating food, and so on. But this transhumanist, socialist, nationalist, like Hitler a little bit, perspective and way to deconstruct other competences. That's what they do. This is not because they believe in it or they see it as truth. It's just okay. What builds your economy is that everybody claps you, then I make a whole fucking narrative. Or clapping is not good. Just like that. And I call it politics and just strategy and all of this shit. When it's nothing of that. So as you can see, the tendency is to deconstruct this capacity of the human just to relate within themselves for what is human. Not using money, not using anything of what a regime or a governance regime allows or not. Of course, it seems, or the tendency looks like, every time people just left themselves to be controlled by such, then the means to they can share this human interaction get reduced. It's not, I mean, that in that everybody's agree, even they are just a manipulator or not. If they are Harry Potter, Voldemort, Jesus Christ, or Hitler, doesn't matter. At least they all, till now, I agree that privating a human of being human is not possible. It's not well seen. It makes you look bad. So like their game is to do it with at the end to say it or to manifest it as a goal to do it so. But the tendencies shows you that the final character that they created to doing that in such way is a character that is literally somebody that if will be transposed to the past of that present is somebody that had the idea to just really literally making it like that. That cannot be proved till it appears and occurs, but also is a projection of the human relation. It's not also true that Hitler has all the fault of World War II. No, it's not true. Also, the humans were responding to the symbolic representations of Hitler. They have their duty into it, and even the people they were fighting with, and the same Hitler reading the symbols is such a conversation. It's never like, you were bad, you were good, and all these false narratives, artificial narratives. I have faced some people that says, okay, but how I will trust you? If you have enough technique or method or a mind skill to know when or not to trust somebody, still you are being a child in that sense. If you cannot make a relation through ideas, concession, criteria, knowledge, experience, and through that create a frame, an interactive frame where some boundaries since the beginning that prevents you to fall into any type of insecurity, mistrust, fear. It's like you have not even born, pretty much. There is some things that are fundamental, like, okay, do you have a passport? Yes. Okay. You have an identity. You accept, you signed to follow these regulations, of course. Yes, they are even necessary. I'm improv them. I clap them in that sense with my human life also. That doesn't mean I live like everybody else lives. Even maybe I respect them more than all the other people that are just pretending to do it so, but at the end they're not. But despite of that, there is no other thing more than your human skill that can really create a relationship of trust with others. Will not be you work where I work, because mostly people they relate to these scenario circumstances. Okay, we went to the same school, we go to the same church, we pray to the same God, we do the same sports, we go to the same restaurant, we work in the same place. That doesn't say anything of the person. You are the manager, I'm the janitor, I don't talk to you. You're the manager and you are the financial owner of the company. Okay, hello God, so tell me more. In that sense, you just become part of a program. You are not even a person. So how do we trust? Also, that is a good question, and I have said the criteria you need to have, the understanding you need to have of what human life is, and the products of human self, all these criteria, ideas, concession, knowledge, experiences, and so on, through which you can build this frame of trust with others. It is obvious, but the social scarcity of the testing minds and intellects, and supposedly they are caring of yourself, or they care a lot of you. They don't care about you, they care about the social construct maintains itself in a way that doesn't collapse. But that is not always possible. I understand psychiatrists and psychologists and what is their work, physicians and economists, etc., as doctors of society. But once the collapse is imminent into some structures, not necessarily physical, but psychological, there is no psychiatry or psychologist or physician that can stop the collapse. That's the point. And the more they try, they make it worse. They go against their own practice in that sense. So that control exists. It exists. They don't need cameras. They don't need microphones recording you. They don't need nothing of this. As you can see, I have given many explanations of the knowledge is being used to measure a human mind, a human body, and the relations have with the environment, according which environment, into which functions of reality has an environment. So the person collapses its mind, to take an identity, it will be in a conservative mood, you can say it, or scenario, into a creative, or you could say expansionist scenario. You're starting building expressions of yourself, expand yourself. That is natural, like a tree. Also, that is natural. It's not bad, but it collapses your mind. It makes you take a certain identity. Unless you self-master yourself and you understand that is not also you, like Krishna tells us in Bhagavad Gita, or Patanjali in the Sutras of Patanjali and other scientifics of human existence. I say, okay, but wait, at the end also this is not you. This is just part of you, but it's not the whole you in that sense. It is yourself, but it's not you. You is temporary. You is not this self that is always recursively existing and collapsing into one or another identity. You can even choose to perform the identity without recognition of it, just for what it is. Like, you can give a punch without being violent. That will be the metaphor. Because the narrative that most people take and the level of intellect they develop, they stop, is to take the identity of the action they are making. If they see a punch like violent, they feel violent when they're punching, but punching is not a violence, it's punching. It's the same. To make a conservative movement of your life doesn't mean that you need to have fear or be in a conflict or have a confrontation. But usually the level of intellect that is developed till now through this socialist narrative way of education that is not teaching you the reality for what it is, but is showing you the reality through a narrative. That is something I have to speak in other Instagram posts. This is the first post I will place, like me talking, in YouTube, for example. There is more content in YouTube itself in the post, and there is more content in the Instagram, Facebook, and X platform. It's the same all. I place the same everywhere. Just in X there is different mood in the sense of comments and topics. Instagram the same, and Facebook is something more generalized, something in between everything. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X. But also the platforms allow you different quantity of information to upload in a free purchase application, right? Who will pay for these things? There is people that pay for this. To finish this series of videos, and that control exists, but even as it gets presented, it is also very childish and stupid in that sense of how they frame human beings and their capacity to understand. From this mirroring effect, as you can notice, most of people, when you mirror them, like, hello, how old are you? I am 39. I am very too. I work in this and this and this. And you? Yes, I work in this and this. They feel okay. No. But if you try to deconstruct or just literally not participate in this mirroring effect, they can get crazy. Like in X platform, the post I place where the person is really saying, motherfucker, I will kill you. Your mother is dead. You're an idiot. And as you can see, I never offend the person. I just were making questions and making affirmations. So the first layer of this control is mirroring effect. Doesn't matter if you have money or not, you work or not, or whatever. Even if maybe you have make a crime or not. In my case, I have never made a crime. If you do the mirroring to anybody, they will be in peace with you. They will feel they have some participation or control in you, with you, or through you, and will be okay. As I always say and explain, first it is awareness. The person that cannot with awareness, then they go to the survival social conventions. They call it There's a conscious collective, the collective subconscious, the collective mind, or something like that. With the narratives that supposedly everybody should follow to be seen as normal or not. Or I mean normal in the sense of acceptable for feeling the others' feelings of security, how they call retribution in the sense that you retribute to their acceptance of realities, and they can also supposedly not see you as something unpredictable for them, because unpredictability causes people to be afraid, instead causing them to be more curious about nature or reality, to find a structural knowledge that allows them to erase unpredictability from their lives in a parameter that allows them to be in a rest position most of the time of their lives. That is the consequence of not being aware of what you're doing in your life, for example. That, you just let the children walking in a corridor, and you always look somewhere else, and you stop looking at the children. Is a baby of 1 year and 6 months, and you believe can hold himself in his legs. That is the consequence. If you have a baby, never leave the fucking baby in the floor if you are not holding him or so aware of him, seeing him directly with the eye, always. Like a like a bull, like an owl. To prevent that it falls, to perceive before it can maybe fall, because will fall. The baby has no equilibrium. That you see, as people live in a dream, as you can see. They live in their egos. This person I'm living with is a clear example of it. They have made other posts about it. Because they live in this ontological failure, as I call it. You can watch also my comics about it. I have made a series of comics, a story narrative about how it operates, the ontological failure. What is ontological failure? Where your ontological framework, even is artificial, because every ontological framework is artificial. It's not the goal of life, it's not the last ultimate intelligence, or whatever you could call it. Now they call it mindfulness, enlightenment, self-mastery. But it's a step to create eschatology, ontology, epistemology, levels of reading information of reality. The ontological failure exists when your ontological framework not just is artificial, but also is fulfilled with non-factual, proven realities of the physical, natural world. That is where occurs this ontological failure. So you hear without hearing, you say yes without understanding, you accept without being agree, and so on. You are just like in a screen, interacting with something, just moving, mirroring, expecting the other person will act and do and speak one day what you are fantasizing of it. Literally, like a fantasy, like pornography is the same. But for anything else, for everything. So in that means, indeed, people live with a mirror in the face, like this, literally, like an astronaut that are just projecting it to the screen. All these ontological failures, and at the end, they were never talking with you. They were even asleep into that state. Like when a child, I have placed the example other times, where you were told the story of Christ or Santa Claus, and you were getting excited to go to the church the Sunday to pray to Christ or to waiting for Santa Claus, you were sleeping. You were having this mirror in your face, seeing a reality that does not exist, and you were performing a character that does not exist. That's how these people live. Some people live in an intermittent state. So this person I'm living with now is in an intermittent state. Most people is like normal. The norm of now, of normies of today, is this intermittent state between the egos and reality, between the screen and non-screen. Literally like a soldier of the medieval ages, no? Okay, I feel judged, I feel insecure, I feel not appreciated. I feel not here. I place the screen, and I do the same with the other. I don't hear. I don't appreciate. I do nothing. Now I feel that I'm looking the scenario, the kingdom where I wanna live. Yes, I take out my school and my frame, and I supposed to be human. What you're doing is computing, using or operating some material structure. You're not even being human in that sense. But okay, the point is that yes, this control to close the video about this tema or this sharing conversation is that the control exists. Is very stupid. It starts with mirroring. Then you go what I was explaining is consciousness. You cannot do with consciousness. Okay. Collective mind, what everybody accepts. No. Okay. Skill. No, okay. Words. At the end, everything in the opposite. Where it starts? It's the opposite. Everything is like literally in a mirror. Start with the opposite. Start with consciousness. Start in the mirroring of word objects. Like bots, literally, like a robot. So if you are able to perceive this, and you are able to operate it, and you are able to act through it, not with it, it's impossible, unless the others that did not get it enter in conflict and violence, that you have a problem in your life. I mean, to this point, when you understand this, already you know about medicine, you already know about psychology, you already know financial systems, economy, politics, history, philosophy, eschatology, ontology, and all these things. That's why all these things were made for. It's like, okay, sure, hey human, hey, this is a play too. This is a labyrinth, what I call the comic, the labyrinth of silence. It's made of many systematized material structures, even done by the same earth. They create a pyramid itself, a stratification, where there is evolution as the last goal, recursive production generation, like a sun. You need these tools to be able to escalate it and not fall from it, because there is no other way in this geospatial earth. Or you escalate till the end, till you die, or you fall from it, or you get stopped in one of the steps of its recursive creation. The worst is to get stuck in that sense, in the real movement of life, not suddenly I stopped studying and I didn't went to work anymore, and everybody, he's stuck in his life. No, that is not to be stuck in your life. That is to just stop participating in something particular, very particular actually, not transcendental. Because falling from the pyramid literally means to die, or to get so sick that you get lost and die. But get stuck is like to get sick and not die, and just be like a cancer for yourself. So the only other option is to escalate it always, constantly. But for that you need these tools. If not, you can even perceive the platform into which you are existing. Like you are blind upon, you could say like that, a computer program, architect computer program, where you cannot see any of the elements or the spaces or dimensions or fields upon which it is existing. And it's like you will be driving a car without being able to see the street or the sidewalk or a person walking. So you want to explain yourself, how is that this world history we know so far is just mess over mess over mess. So imagine a lot of people being blind, driving cars, seeing nothing, just driving the car. So you will for sure make a lot of failures.